This
that evening.
conference will now be recorded.
Okay, here we go. And this is King Kraetzer for Sons of the American Legion Radio. This is our SALRadio Army Football Huddle. And we have with us tonight Richard Miller from Florida. We have Jack McGuirk calling in from Pelham. And we're going to talk a little bit about Army football, Navy, and also the games coming up this weekend in college football. Why don't we start with Richard Miller? Take us through some of the games last week in college football and some of the stats that you have from the Army game. The big win, 37-7 over Louisiana Monroe.
Well, Army dominated Louisiana Monroe 37-7. Christian Anderson and Jaquil Buchanan ran for 2 touchdowns. These were the go-to players for Army, along with Sandon McCoy, who scored 3 touchdowns in the season opener 42 victory over Middle Tennessee, added the 14th of his career with a 2-yard drive in the first quarter. Also in that game, Anderson scored on a 5-yard keeper for the game's first score. Army did a good job of controlling the football from the kickoff. The Black Knights rushed for 436 yards, Buchanan with 106 yards on 11 carries. Anderson had 95 carries on 21 yards.
Okay, 2 big plays in the game that really stood out. In the end of the first half, Army was doing a 2-minute drill. They put in their number 2 quarterback, Jamil Jones, a sophomore, good passer, and he was able to throw a ball out to the right side. It looked like it was going to be beyond the reach of the receiver, Isaiah Alston, but Alston made a great diving catch, got his hand under the ball when it looked like the ball might have hit the ground, brought it in, they gave him the catch, and a couple plays later, Army scored on a 40-yard field goal by Landon Salyers. And that really gave West Point a lift going into the locker room at halftime and a 17-7 lead. In the second half, Army was struggling a bit on offense. The first drive was a 3-and-out. Second drive was 3-and-out. It was fourth down and 10 to go from close to midfield. And Army lines up to punt, but they do a fake. They do a direct snap to the blocking back, Wilson Cateau, and Cateau saw a hole and he ran left and he ran 47 yards for a first down. A couple of plays later, Christian Anderson, the quarterback, ran 6 yards for a touchdown, and that really was the play of the game. If they had fumbled that ball on that direct snap, and Louisiana Monroe had recovered in Army territory, the short field. They could have gotten scored back to 17-14. They would have been back in the game, but Army really executed, and that's really what shows the preparation level of this team, that they're able to execute a play like that and make it work. Jacoby Buchanan, I don't know if he's number 2 or number 3 fullback in the rotation, but he ran twice, 25 yards for a touchdown at the end of the third quarter, and 40 yards at the end of the game. 5:58 left to give Army its final score, 37-7 at West Point. Jacoby Buchanan, 106 yards in the game. Christian Anderson, 95. Sandon McCoy, 47. As did Wilson Cateau. I learned is from North Canton, Ohio. We did an interview with him this week. And Cade Bernard had 44 for West Point. Army Jamil Jones, 1 of 2 passing. Christian Anderson, 0 for 3. Tackles in the game. Nolan Cockrell, the nose tackle, was playing very well. Had 6 tackles in the game. John Radican, the linebacker, a senior, had 6. As did Cedric Cunningham, the defensive back. And also Julian McDuffie had 5, and Eric Smith had 5 tackles in the game for Army. So Army a 37-7 win. They go 2-0 on the season. They are nationally ranked in both the coaches poll and in the AP poll, as high as 22nd in the country. So everybody's happy at West Point. The challenge was, and the surprise was, 7:30 Saturday night. The much anticipated game with Brigham Young University was canceled due to a COVID exposure on the BYU team. This was a game that would have been nationally televised and drawn a big audience because Army had played very well, and Brigham Young had played well against Navy, but would have been a challenge for them to travel across the country second time in September to play a service academy. Jack, I know you've been following Naval Academy and a couple of events this week, and they've got a game at Tulane. Tell us about it.
Yeah, they have a game, as you mentioned, against Tulane. Now, Tulane actually just opened the season with a 27-24 win over South Alabama. Keon Howard getting his first start at quarterback, by the way, the backup last year. Passed for 100 1-yard touchdown in the fourth quarter of that game. Redshirt sophomore running back Cameron Carroll scored 2 rushing touchdowns, and a redshirt freshman Spears ran for 105 yards and 11 carries. The Green Wave had 103 total yards. Also, Amari Jones had a touchdown in the fourth quarter. Win for the Green Wave. Now on defense, they actually held South 6 yards total offense. Played very well. And last year, Tulane finished 6th overall. They actually had a 42-33 win over Army last season and a 30-41 loss to Navy. Very strong rushing player last season who rushed 150 yards or more. Amari Jones, one of the guys just mentioned, was one of them. He averaged 6 yards per carry, 71 yards, and 4 touchdowns last season. Also, switching to defense, Chase Richardson led the team last year with 7 tackles, and defensive end Pat Johnson had the big play. Upper year, he had 10 sacks and 14 tackles for loss. And last year, his junior had 5 tackles, 4 sacks, and 0.5 tackles for loss. So pretty strong team there for Tulane. Interesting story earlier in the week from Navy. Matalovo made some about the Commander Chief Trophy series, criticizing. He seems a little upset that both Army and Navy are playing full seasons this year, but the Air Force Academy only 2 games this season against Army and Navy. The rest of the season was canceled. The Air Force Academy was part of the division, and all their games canceled. So it seemed like Coach Niamalo thought it was kind of unfair that Army and Navy have full seasons, Air Force has a game. But he later sort of walked back those comments and apologized for what he said about the past. But it's an interesting point that he was making.
I was surprised that he said that. I mean, we've known Coach Niamalo for a number of years. He's always been very gracious to us, but he's a tough football coach, and he's been successful for a long time there at Navy. And I was kind of surprised that he expressed frustration about how the Commander Chief Trophy games are set up. I think he's got the advantage with the game in Colorado Springs because he'll have a number of games under his belt. And before Air Force has a chance to play, that'll be their first one of the season. I think he should really have the advantage in going into that game in Colorado Springs in early October. So we'll see. Richard, tell us a little bit now. What games are coming up this weekend?
So games that are coming up this weekend, this Saturday, number 11 Oklahoma State's kicking off their season against Tulsa. It's their first game of the season for both teams. Number 19 Louisiana is taking Georgia State. Louisiana is 1-0 on the season. Syracuse and Pitt are number 25. Pitt's taking on Syracuse at Heinz Field. Pitt is 1-0 on the season. Syracuse their first win of the season. Also, the number 7 Notre Dame Fighting Irish are taking on South Florida. Both teams are 1-0 on the season. Also, you've got Appalachian State, number 23, taking on Marshall. Number 1 Clemson taking on the Seidel, the runners-up in from the national championship game all on the season.
Good at all. Very fine military school in South Carolina.
Oh yeah, it's a little little hard for me to pronounce.
Okay, you'll get it.
Yeah.
You'll get it. And one other game, Cincinnati, who Army's going to play in a week, is going to open their season with a game against Austin Peay, and that's a 12 noon start. And we'll be trying to watch that if it's possible. Cincinnati is a very good program. They have ambitions of maybe becoming a Power 5 team in the future, and they've got a third-year quarterback named Desmond Ritter, 6'4", 215-pound, big guy quarterback, who's a junior. And in 2 years, both years, he's thrown for over 2,000 yards and 2,445 his first year, 2,164 his second year. And he's thrown for 38 touchdowns in 2 years against 14 interceptions. So that's a big-time quarterback that Cincinnati has, Desmond Ritter. We'll take more of a look at their team as we get closer to that game next Saturday in Cincinnati. It's going to be a highly watched game, and we'll take a look tomorrow at Cincinnati, Austin Peay, to see how Cincinnati looks. Richard, do you have a final thought? Game you're going to watch tomorrow?
The game that I'm going to watch tomorrow, well, I think I'm a Saturday night football guy, Ken. I'm actually going to watch Miami against Louisville. Primetime game. Both teams. One is ranked higher than the other. Not a lot is expected from either team, but it's a Saturday night football game.
Who are they playing? Who's Miami? Who are the Hurricanes playing?
Louisville.
Louisville. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, Miami and Louisville. Miami's number 17. Louisville's number 18 on the team. It's a new local Louisville team. Cunningham is 19 of 34 so far this year. Has only one interception and three touchdowns.
Okay. Jack, now between Navy and Tulane, who's going to win that game?
That's going to be a tough one. Navy is trying to get a win after just getting clobbered by BYU. Trying, they have desperation on their game. But Tulane had that pretty solid game against South Alabama, so it's going to be a close one. I think keep an eye on that one. And of course, Tulane has a game against the Black Knights in November, so definitely keeping an eye on that game.
Yeah, it'll be a good one to watch. Anyway, I want to thank you both for joining us. Richard Miller calling in from Florida, Jack McGuirk calling in from Pelham, and I'm Ken Kraetzer, and you're watching Sons of the American Legion Radio, our coverage of Army football, Navy football, and occasionally Air Force football. We don't forget them, the three teams that are competing for the Commander-in-Chief trophy. So some good games, and we'll look forward to Army being out at Cincinnati in a week. So again, thank you for watching Sons of the American Legion Radio, our college football huddle. Have a great weekend. Okay, and I had it on record this time.
All right.